This is amazing!
Welcome to episode 118 of the Guardian 1 podcast. We record live Thursdays at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/Guardian 1 Network. My name is Remy, and tonight I am joined by Jez.
Good morning.
Agrios.
Greetings, Guardians.
Sharks.
Oh my god, did you hear? This guy is making toys like this!
And Gray.
Good evening, everyone.
We're going to be talking about all things Destiny, but first, housekeeping.
Hello, Guardians. Thank you for listening to the podcast, however it is that you are choosing to listen. Be sure to follow Guardian 1 on Twitter at G1net. That's G1NET. In addition, be sure to check out the Guardian 1 website at guardian1.net. If you want to send us an email, you can send it to feedback@guardian1.net. We also have a Budgie.net forums group. We utilize the forums for both comments and feedback, so be sure to join the conversations going on there. Big thank you to all those currently in the Twitch chat. As Remy said at the top of the podcast, you can watch the show live at twitch.tv/Guardian1 Network. We broadcast every Thursday at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. If you can't catch the live show, you can always find the podcast on iTunes, as well as upload it to the Guardian 1 YouTube channel at youtube.com/Guardian1 Network. Guardian 1 is a proud member of the Guardian Radio Network, so be sure to check out the Guardian Radio Network website at theguardiansofdestiny.com. There you'll find all of the different podcasts as part of the network, including the flagship podcast Guardian Radio. They broadcast every Monday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. Pacific on twitch.tv/Guardian Radio. You can also follow their Twitter account at Guardians of D and their YouTube channel, youtube.com/Guardians of D. Other podcasts that are part of the Guardian Radio Network include Ghosts and Echoes, a podcast that contains a bit of fan fiction and audio versions of the Grimoire cards, as well as the Destiny lore-focused podcast called Focus Fire Chat. Once again, thanks for joining us on the podcast. I'll see you again next week.
Man, I know we talk about that river a lot after we hear that, because all of a sudden here's this guy popping out of nowhere. But I really miss River. I really miss having him on the show. And I don't know. I wonder if he did come back to the show, if we would just run that Hollow River anyways, because it's way convenient and it's always accurate. You know, like if you listen to the podcast when he was here live, you know, every couple of weeks there would be like a very funny flub, which was really funny because of how professional he sounded on the radio, on the broadcast. So, but yeah, I'm River. I miss you. Come back to the show, dude. All right, that's it. Lots of stuff to talk about. I know I say that every week. I think I do it to psych myself up. Like, yeah, you know, there's not just 3 sentences worth of Destiny information we're going to read, and then the rest of it's going to be filled with me babbling on and on and on. But I wanted to start off with a message I received from Jelly Belly. This was a person who I had a chance to play some Destiny with. Very cool, very funny, very good player. And you should just join Guardian 1. He's in a clan called Thank You, which sounds pretty cool. But he sent me this message, and I meant to talk about it on the show, and then, like most things, you know, if it's not just right in front of me or has crap in its pants, I don't really have a chance to deal with it. But he says, Okay, I've been thinking about Destiny 2 for a while now. I've followed the gaming industry closely for around 15 years, and based on that knowledge, the 2017 release date is looking extremely unlikely, in my opinion. My main reason for this is the lack of any announcement, not even a logo. While a game of this scale is a safe bet for E3, the historic Bungie game releases have always been in September. Barring these facts in mind, I find it unlikely that we will get an E3 June announcement of Destiny 2 with a September release. That only leaves a 3-month window from announcement to release. I'm thinking an E3 announcement with a spring 2018 release. Now we do have the Fallout 4 example to look at. However, the Bethesda studio hasn't had the seemingly rocky path throughout the development of their game that Bungie has had for the whole of Destinies. Another reason for my belief that D2 will get a 2018 release is the 2 juggernaut releases slated for this year. Bungie and Activision are well aware of Mass Effect and Red Dead 2's announcements. While the latter isn't in the same genre, it is a huge franchise and one of those massive games that will take players away from D2. After seeing what EA did with Titanfall 2, I'm sure the people at Activision will want to release D2 in the month that it will get the most attention and have the least competition in order to maximize sales. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Thanks, Jellybelly. So why don't we start with you, Gray? What do you think about this? Was this already something you were thinking about? Did Jelly Belly raise any points that you find particularly on point?
I honestly, this week I was getting a little bit of that itch, a little bit of concern with the lack of information about Destiny 2. And the further we get into 2017, the more disconcerting the situation will be if we don't hear about a roadmap, hear about what we can expect from Destiny 2. And yeah, I mean, we're into almost the end of January, and my hopes that this game will actually release in 2017 actually continues to decrease as time goes on. And that's kind of a bummer, because I really want Destiny 2 this year. I'm kind of ready for this next generation of the game.
Sharks?
Okay, so this has been a huge topic all over the community. People speculating when it's going to come out. Is it coming out this year? Is it coming out next year? Should it come out this year? Should it come out next year? Should it compete with other games like what Jelly Belly is talking about? And I truly believe that Bungie has set it up where they are going to try to do as little promotion or a lot of promotion, but in a very short period of time to try to push the next game. And they're going to use the community. They may use E3, but I think that Bungie's moving away from that anyways. As we know, they do a lot of streams themselves. Yeah, they might be at E3, but we may hear an announcement just prior to E3 to really get everybody kind of jumping. But I don't think it's going to wait till next year. I think that they want to do a September, October release for Christmas.
September, October release for Christmas. That sounds like the double dipping that I would want to bet on if I was somebody like that, because you have the people who are going to buy the game anyways, no matter what time of year it came out, and then you can just get hit right back at it, with Christmas. People are buying this, for friends or for loved ones and moms to sons, like we have a huge opportunity there. It's a really great point. Agrios?
I would say that in almost any other circumstance, about most other games, Jelly Belly would be 100% on point. 100% on point, wouldn't disagree at all. But Destiny is a little bit of a different animal. We're well aware that they're well aware that they underdelivered on extra content and their DLC promises. They've brought not one but two studios in, who are everybody's hiring more people this whole time. And so I think they're being prepared. You know what I mean? I don't think they want to I think they're definitely on the scope of that they're going to want to under-promise, over-deliver. And we've heard during earnings calls, now this isn't fluff to the public, we've heard during earnings calls, business, that Destiny 2 is on track for 2017. That was only a couple months ago. Okay? And the last thing I think is everybody knows Destiny 2's coming. Doesn't really need an announcement. I mean, Bungie's acknowledged the fact that Destiny 2 is planned. You know what I mean? There's no question about that. So
they've even called it D2 themselves.
Right. And I think that, love it or hate it, everybody who cares about the video game community is going to have their eyes firmly fixated on it. There's not a chance that Destiny 2 is going to go under anywhere's radar. So what does really need to be said about it? They could just go full out secret on it. And everybody's still going to buy it and look at it. That's how I feel about it, like, as a nutshell. So I personally wouldn't be surprised if we didn't get our first look at it. Now, I'm not saying first words about it, but first look at it until E3.
Okay, so this is an interesting point. I was actually talking with Tanner about this. He's pissed off that there hasn't been any kind of announcement, and I told him almost exactly what you just told him. Well, we know it's coming out. We know there's going to be another one. Destiny did incredibly well, and I feel like the way Bungie has kind of stepped around saying, if you got 40 hours out of this game, then that's, we've sold you a good game. Many people don't put 40 hours into a game. So if you got enjoyment out of your investment, then here is some DLC for people who want to continue playing. And then when Destiny 2 comes around, if you actually enjoyed the experience, when you hear that Destiny 2 is coming out, and you're going to hear, you're going to run back to it. You're going to be very interested in it, and you're right. It doesn't. We know it's coming out. We know that they're working on it. So it's not the same thing as when Destiny 1 came out. They had to very carefully lay the ground floor, and people who were paying attention, every week they would show a new thing, like, oh, this is a Vandal, or this is a Dreg, from this fallen race. They eased right into it, but it's been out for a while, very successful. And so how much buildup do you really need? Like, imagine for a second if Bungie just said, all right, next week, Destiny 2, like, the world would lose its mind. And in that week, there would be more than enough time for the world to go all the way, for the word to go all the way around the world. And it would be huge. It would be, I guess they could.
Gives the perfect example with the Fallout 4, another game that needs no introduction. Right,
absolutely. And so what's going to happen? They're going to release information when it comes, and I sort of agree with them. I would really like a logo or something.
Here's the thing. I want to say I don't want to say too much because I want to let Gray have his say, but I do want to say that. For people that are really eager to get information, think about it with the games that take months and years to release, that they show you clips, they show you logos, whatever. I mean, there's a handful. I mean, just The Last Guardian. Let's just say The Last Guardian. That one there, they literally talked about 10 years beforehand, right? All right, and then people get really pissed off that it's not released and all this stuff. It's a lot better to have a short time frame to talk about it. It's not fun for all the people that want to speculate. But
now, how do you feel about that Last Guardian bit?
What's that?
Apparently, they said they were making it, and it got to a point where technology they couldn't make it exactly how they wanted. So rather than compromise it, they just held off. Should they have done that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's a two-edged sword. You're sometimes you're better off not saying anything, and then other times you're better off saying something. You could give you could give arguments for both sides. But I'm just saying, for something that you know is going to be released in the next year or so, which we do for Destiny 2, just wait until that 3-month window. 3 months, if it really is 3 months, like if it's E3 and September, that's a 3-month time period. That's more than enough time to promote something.
I feel like they don't even need to promote it. Like, I feel like I said before, love it or hate it. Even the people who hate it are going to have all eyes on it to talk about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm saying, love it or hate it, there's no way that you're not knowing this is coming out. There's no way this isn't going to be a hit, sell like a hit, regardless of the situation. So, like, they could just go straight up, total silence, all these coy little smiles and remarks in each of the weekly updates, and not even say anything till August, and I'd be mad as hell, but I'd be smiling behind that mad as hell, being like, fucking bastards.
Let's see. Lays says, also announcing it may kill Destiny 1 completely when people see it. And I agree with this to a certain point. It really depends on what details they give going into it, because I don't know how much I would play if they said, okay, here's Destiny 2, here's the Destiny 2's release date, and absolutely nothing is carrying over. Like, I still have this desire, this hunger to play Destiny. It just really is unlike any other game. Like, it just feels good to be in that Guardian. Even PvP, I've really come around to PvP. I should go back and listen to some of our first episodes where I wasn't very interested in PvP, because at this point, I really see it as a viable way to have fun. It's just really difficult. I want to share this little anecdote. There is a game for the Xbox 360. I don't remember what it was called. It was like Mech Warrior or something like this. And it was a game where you could build your own mech. You had different kinds of walking or rolling pieces, and then you could build, like, there's like a core system and a tree, and then there was power supplies, and you could have different arms and guns on your arms, and it was fantastic. It was amazing. It was amazing in what you could do with it. Different like color patterns you could put on them, and at some point, the people who are very interested in winning, not losing, they figured out what the best build for this was, and it was a tiny set of tank treads, and it was one part of a core and a tiny engine and a sniper rifle. And what they would do is they would just sit up on these things and they would just snipe you. No matter what your build was, this build was better. It was faster. It was more likely to kill. And it just took the fun out of the game. There was no fun after that. It didn't matter I got some cool new arms or a cool new cockpit. No, it didn't matter. It didn't matter, because if I wasn't running that one mech, I didn't win. And as much fun as it is to play Destiny, it's not that great much fun losing. There's just not. It feels crappy. It feels bad to just be killed by the same Iron Banner scout rifle or pulse rifle over and over, because that's the quickest. That's the quickest kill. It's the easiest kill. My shield just goes to nothing, and then my life is totally gone.
Wait a minute. So, how do you claim that you like how that feels, but claim you liked how Halo felt?
Halo was almost all the time matched perfectly.
Yeah, but I mean, everybody had the same auto rifle.
Absolutely.
Everybody had the same shotgun. Everybody had
Definitely.
the same sniper rifle.
Yep. And so when it came down to it, what the difference was between whether I'm going to win or the person on the other end of my assault rifle is going to win, it all came down to skill.
So if everybody has clever dragons and matadors, it all comes down to skill again.
Totally, but I don't want to use a clever dragon or a matador.
Well, see, that's your problem, though. That's what I'm saying. But it can be equalized like Halo was. I'm just playing devil's advocate a little bit here, but
I'll give you the answer to that problem. The fact that Halo had a larger time to kill meant skill came into play a lot more.
That's a really good point. That was why I liked it over.
You had more time to decide, am I going to continue this engagement or run away? And have time to get away.
Okay.
Right.
Except for, like, snipers, but...
But you see what I was saying there, Remy? Like, I was curious how that differed to someone like you.
Definitely.
Windows says hi.
And then, let's see, who else was it? I don't know. But yeah, so I thought I had another example I wanted to read. Jez, what do you make about this, and what is your prediction for release of Destiny 2, release of information and release date of Destiny 2?
They haven't said either way if it's on track or not, and they won't. The fact that they haven't announced it earlier tells me that maybe that everyone's worst fears are, well, not everyone's worst fears, but the fears of Destiny 1 stuff not carrying over is kind of true, because if it was not true, they'd be like, okay, here's Destiny 2, and don't worry, everything carries over. But the longer they put it off, the more people are going to think, hey, they don't want to announce it now because it will start to kill our player base.
Totally.
And it's not ready.
Totally.
If they announce it and then have to push it off, that's going to be longer time that people aren't playing a Destiny game.
Right. And I don't know. I'm enjoying playing Destiny. I do feel, and you know what? I think I want to talk about this next week. I do feel like our information will carry over like the books. I think the books will carry over. Mostly because there's, year one, here's your year one emblem, here's your year two book, and I feel like having that information carry over would be cool to have. I don't know. I feel like if nothing else, no gear carries over. I at least want some of the details, maybe the matches. I don't know how they would do it, but they had everything on Bungie.net, like all of Halo information, every game you've ever played, it all stayed on there. As a matter of fact, I believe there's a backup to all of Bungie.net when it was in its Halo form, and if you have the right, you could just put in somebody's gamer tag and look up all that information. There's still like pictures, like screenshots or movies or game types all up on Bungie.net, the archived version.
So no one wants to hear this, but if they do not carry over your Guardian, you can just remake it and then pretend it's your Guardian. It really doesn't have to be that same, like, oh, we carried it over, in order for you to basically portray it as your Guardian carrying over. As well as, I think that you're onto what they'll probably do and be like, click here for Destiny 1 stats for this profile, and probably unlock an emblem in Destiny 2 of this guy completed the book year 1, the book year 2. Yeah,
I think that would be...
It's not the same, but that's the only workaround.
So I wanna talk about that next week. What realistically will carry over? What you're really hoping will carry over. Things like this. Maybe things that you'd like to see in Destiny 2 as well.
You know what? We should wait and not do it next week.
Continue.
And the reason we should wait is because the next earnings call is February 9th. So we should talk about it then.
Sounds good. I just tried to take my mouse from this screen and move it over onto this screen, which is two separate computers, even though I can move my mouse from this screen to this screen. Lame. You know what? Okay, so I don't remember who it was that brought this up in chat, but somebody brought up a beta, and that would be it right there. That is all the media focus that Bungie would really need. If they opened up the beta for Destiny 2 right now, that would go around the world quick as hell. You don't think so, Sharks?
Do you think there'll be a beta?
I hope so.
I don't think there will be. No,
Yeah.
I'm calling no beta.
No beta, and they definitely wouldn't release it now.
Gray, what do you
It
think?
would be genius for them, in this 3-month window to have a very short, almost unannounced beta to be like this underground cult movement of, oh my gosh, this thing, and then have it launch. I think that would be actually pretty cool.
Here's the problem with if they did that.
That's how they dropped the alpha.
What? Well, alpha, beta doesn't make a difference. Whatever you want.
I'm just saying that's what they did with the first alpha.
Oh, okay, but here's what I'm saying is, say they do that, all right? They do it. Let's say they do it tomorrow. Okay, they're like, oh, they heard Remy on the Guardian One podcast. Let's do it tomorrow. Get these guys in here and really start the hype train without even giving them anything except for this alpha or beta. Okay, then you come to find out when you're playing this game that it's completely different than Destiny 1. Completely different, okay?
Like a card game?
No, not a card game, but whatever it is, you can tell that no matter what, all your stuff from Destiny 1 is no longer going to be in Destiny 2. You know that from playing this game, this little snippet of the game. Okay, so now that beta or alpha is done. Okay, they still haven't told you when the game's going to release. Are you going to play Destiny 1?
Yes.
Probably not. Well, you would, and I would, because we're fanatics, but most people would say, nope, there's no point.
Yeah.
So, Sharks, my counterpoint would be, what if they launched like a PvP that they might even say, like, these are actually test weapons that aren't going to necessarily be in the game, so you still don't know. People would actually go back to play Destiny 1 after that beta because they would want to say, Destiny 2's coming out, I want to get better at my skills.
Yeah, I can see that. And especially if it's just a PvP because you don't know what it is for the rest of the game. So yeah, they could do that.
Because what I want to see is I want to know what happens with the gun skill in Destiny 2. Because Destiny 1 has such great gun skill. How do they improve on one of the best aspects of their game? And PvP could show that. I guess by gun skill, I really mean gunplay. The gunplay in Destiny is some of the best out there.
Okay,
and I'd like to see how they're going to improve on that in Destiny 2.
The one thing that they get the most compliments on, that's the one thing they're not going to change.
Right.
Yeah, I was just going to say you can't really improve something that's not broke.
That's the
Sure
way I
you
thought.
can.
That's the way I felt about Destiny before I played it. But after having spent so much time with Halo 1, 3, Reach, and ODST, like, if you go back and play even Reach right now, you can see where Bungie got their riffs from, but it feels like you're clunky. Like, it doesn't feel as smooth. Like,
Are the three of you listening to what you're saying to Gray? Okay, oh, you can't fix what's not broke? What are you talking about? Are you playing the same PvP that I'm playing?
No.
We're not saying
we're not-
PvP.
why-
is broke.
We're not talking about that at all.
Wait. Why do you think that in 3 weeks we're going to get a complete weapons overhaul? Because it's broke.
okay, wait.
No.
You're misunderstanding
That's
us.
not what I'm
You're
talking about.
misunderstanding us. What we're talking about is not having to do with PvP at all. What I'm talking about
Right.
specifically is how my brain registers what my hands are doing with the screen. So when I see what's on the screen, what my character is doing, the movements, the walking, the aiming, the shooting, the jumping, the additional mobility, my brain says, this is awesome. This is awesome. We're not talking about, like time to kill. We're not talking about getting shot
Right.
through walls. I'm talking about the experience of just being this guardian in
Talk
this
about,
world.
does it feel good to shoot this gun or not?
If I'm understanding Gray right, what Gray's saying is what is it they're going to do to add to it? Because if you look, the easiest way to point this out is if you played Call of Duty Black Ops, and then you played Call of Duty Black Ops 3, we're going to say like something that's very, very different, so you really notice. Okay, the gameplay, it's all still first-person shooter. It was all very similar as far as time to kill for stuff, all right? The guns and everything are pretty much the same, but they added just so much stuff into the Black Ops 3 PvP that they didn't have in the original Black Ops. Okay, so that's what I am getting. What Gray's saying is, what is it they're going to add to it? Because they're going to add something. You know, they're not going to just keep it the same and make a whole bunch of maps. That would be dumb.
Totally,
Yeah,
but I
when
think
I
what
say
Gray's saying
add, I
is they're
don't
not
mean-
going backwards.
I'm not talking about like adding like even specific points of content necessarily related to it. Remy, you kind of made my point in your statement. You go back and you play a Halo game, which at the time you thought was the best experience for the time of
Ever.
a first-person shooter.
Felt amazing.
And then you play Destiny, and they improved on what they had done in the past. They've had 2.5, 3 years to improve on what they've done with that type of a first-person gunplay experience. I think it's going to be better. I don't know what it's going to look like, but they're
for
the
me,
best
it's
at
like-
what they do at that. And I'm just excited to see what it is going to be like, because I don't think it's going to be the same. I think it's going to be better in some way.
See, for me, it's like an on-off switch. Like, okay, so if I understand what you're talking about, once again, it has nothing to do with, like, supers or maps or time to kill or anything, but it's like, does this machine gun feel good in my hands? Does it fire the way I feel like it should? Am I hitting things the way I feel like I should be hitting them? Like, is it operating smoothly? And, you know, that translates right into, you know, is it enjoyable to shoot things with this gun?
Not only
Now,
that,
if
but
that's what you mean, like strictly the way those guns feel and whatnot, to me, that's like an on-off switch. Either it's accurate, like either your portrayal is accurate and feels good to use, or your portrayal is broken and feels bad to use.
even
You're either one or the other.
even in cases that are not optimal. So, you know, many auto rifles are a little bit rougher than what I want, but the feel of the gun and where that little reticle bounces to, that's fun. You know, trying to keep it harnessed and in the area, I feel like that's fun. Even if you move to another gun because it's too much kick, that specific gun feels like that specific gun, and this is actually the thing I don't like about Titanfall 2, is that every one of the guns is just like this. They just fire just like this. Like the recoil is non-existent. Like it's totally non-existent. It doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel like I have something in my hands. There's a disconnect between my eyes and my brain and what I'm seeing and what I'm feeling. And in Destiny, even the unwieldy guns are like, this is fun, you know? It's like there's a living feeling there. You know,
See, I guess for me, there's just like a center, and you can go negative from that center. But I guess I don't know how I would notice if they made it better, because it already feels right. Like if
the
you
way
made it feel
that they
different,
can
it
make
wouldn't feel right anymore.
I'll tell you the way they can make it better is not so much to do with the guns themselves, but on the actual hit markers on the things you're shooting. Like, they could add a physics engine to something that you're hitting. Like if you shoot him in the arm and he's still not dead, then his arm starts to blow back or something. Like there's actual recoil on the enemy. Like that will add to the overall gun feel of the game.
I agree with you, Jez. I could see how that would add to the experience. Although, see, I feel like that falls out of gunplay. I feel that feels more into, you know, environmental effect. But
well, it's more about when I think gun feel for like the actual thing, I think it's more to do with how a gun reacts to the environment as well. Like I think if you have a gun that feels good, sounds good, and then you shoot something and it doesn't react and just falls over, that gun does not feel good.
well, see,
true.
I agree with your statement, but I wouldn't say the gun doesn't feel good. I'd be like, well, that thing sucked to kill. Like I feel like that stuff can enhance it, but I guess it's just shooting a mountainside. I can tell whether I like shooting that gun or not, and seeing where the bullets hit a mountainside and aren't even doing anything, I'll know whether I like enjoy using that gun or not. And see, I've already formed that opinion. So then I would like, I guess I separate those two things in my head. But I agree with you that the way those things react can enhance your experience.
Well, think of it this way: if you have a shotgun and you shoot something and it doesn't react to your shot at all, like a boss, do you feel like shooting a shotgun at a boss? Does it feel satisfying to use a shotgun on a boss?
See, the input you're asking from me, I go mathematical on.
You're looking at the numbers.
At that point, I've already decided whether I like where the shotgun feels shooting the wall or not. The only way it's going to like determine whether I like it shooting the boss or not is the proportional amount of damage it does to a different shotgun.
See,
So
I was talking about the
what I was
specific shotgun.
getting
I was
at
talking
more
about the
was-
shotgun thing in general.
And kind of what I was getting at is more that the feel of play, and probably the time for me that this was most dramatic because I'd played so much Destiny and I hadn't played any other video games, was going back and playing Fallout 4. And the experience of the gunplay in Fallout 4 is, like, using Remy's term, it felt clunky, right? It
was designed by the same guy.
Well, it wasn't designed by the same guy. He moved over. Well, Josh Hamrick moved over and helped them out with it. They already had, Fallout 3 didn't work on that, right? So they already had an idea. But no, you're totally right, Gray. It did feel clunky. It felt like you weren't... It felt really weird. Agrios really liked it, and I thought it was okay.
I think it feels as good as Destiny. But what they're doing is
that's
realistically...
heresy. That's heresy.
They're
I agree,
realistically
Gray.
portraying a
Where's
pipe
the
rifle
ejector
you
button?
built out of copper pipe and wood.
I think I can
Totally
mute him.
different. It was totally different. I played Fallout. It wasn't anything like Destiny. Okay, and that's and not only that. Okay, so I've also
We're talking
played
about different stuff. I don't know.
I've played a lot of Battlefield 1 this last couple weeks. That's different too. Okay? Everyone is going to be different. They're going to play differently. When I played the original Borderlands, I liked using Borderlands guns. It was great. Then I went in and I started playing Call of Duty Black Ops. I think it was right. I think I played that next. And I loved that. Then Call of Duty Warfare. Was it? No, it wasn't Warfare. I don't remember. It was Infinity Ward did it. It was the first one after Black Ops. I hated that. I hated the gunplay there. It was so different. It just didn't feel right. All right. So I see what you're saying. That and every iteration of a video game, okay, even with like Treyarch doing the Black Ops versions of Call of Duty, they changed them a little bit. They're gonna change it. There's no way that they're going to keep it exactly the same way it is now. I just don't see that happening.
See, the gunplay in Fallout 4 felt realistic to me. It felt like that gun was behaving the way that gun would behave to me. I felt like if I had a really high-end sniper rifle, I could shoot a head off a match at 1,000 yards away. But I felt like if I was using some hacked, duct taped together copper pipe and wood rifle, that it felt like I was using, a duct taped together copper pipe and wood rifle. But I felt like it felt real. I felt like it felt honest. I felt like the bullets reacted as though the way I, would expect them to in that situation. And I feel that way about Destiny's guns. But then I get into some other games. I'm trying hard to think of a bad, example of bad guns I feel in a game. But I feel like, it does. You're like, that wouldn't happen like that. Like at the really bad examples of it, like when it gets on the preposterous end. And I really feel like that's how I rate it. And that's why I say I feel like Fallout 4 is, up there with Destiny, in my opinion, of how it portrays like the feeling of the guns. But I think we all have our own sort of interpretation on the word gunplay and what that means to a game too.
I feel like in Destiny, like here is me and I'm hip firing, and then here is me, I'm aiming down the scope. So here this feels right and this feels right. In Fallout 4, I feel like, okay, here is me hip firing, and here is me aiming down the scope. Like it just doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel right. At least because I played so much Destiny. Like Fallout 3, I didn't have this problem, although I felt like it was still a little bit soft. We got to move on, though. I don't know what we're talking about here, but I don't like it.
I do want to say one thing about Fallout, though.
Do it.
I know that our definition of gunplay or gun feel is different because I know I'm taking out so much of the immersion of Fallout when I shoot someone and their head just flies off or their body just goes flying, and I'm like, that gun's not right.
That's pretty funny. Okay. Iron Banner. I played 6 games of Iron Banner. 5 of those games I lost, and it wasn't fun. And I played one of each. I played on one of each on console, so I could get the weekly package. And then I had held over an Iron Banner bounty from last time, and I needed 15 more completion points. And it did take me another 3 matches to do it, and it was a bummer. And I feel like Destiny has a problem in that, the variances that we talked about last week. Either you have a good connection and the person that you're dancing with has a good connection, and when you kill them, they die, or when they kill you, you die, but not this running around the corner and getting killed. Like that just takes the fun out of it. It takes all the fun out of it. And I don't know how they're going to fix this. I don't know, if we're just going to have to live with it until Destiny 2, but it is the fun in Destiny is dependent on a good connection, a clean connection, and it being somewhat even. It's just a bummer when that is your reality. I want to have a good time, and oh, you know what? Maybe that's what it is. As I'm not so sad about dying now. Like it's not a huge deal to me. But the only time my enjoyment is ruined is when I feel like I've been cheated. When I see the bullets coming through, a wall to hit me, that's not fun. There is no fun there. Jez, did you play Iron Banner at all?
No, not this year. Not this year. Technically, yes. That's true.
Technically not this year. Jez hasn't played Iron Banner all year. Agrios, did you play Iron Banner?
Wee bit.
What did you play for?
What do you mean? What did I play for? Oh, why did I play?
Yeah. What was your goal?
My goal was to participate in this Iron Banner, so there won't be an Iron Banner I've not participated in.
I can respect that.
So I played a match on my main and a match on my Titan, and that was pretty much it.
Did you get anything good?
This is definitely my least played Iron Banner ever because I didn't need anything from it, and I was exceptionally busy.
Got it. Sharks, did you play Iron Banner?
Yeah!
How much did you play?
Rank 5, all 3.
Damn it. You're crazy.
I played all weekend.
It also doesn't give you anything.
My wife was sick, and it was weird playing because I wasn't really playing with anybody except for her because she was really sick. But yeah, no, we just sat there and messed around and played. It was cool, and yeah, I love it. I love Iron Banner, even if I hate Clash. I love Iron Banner. I just love the whole thought process and everything about it. Yeah, of course I played it.
I mean, had I had time, I probably would have taken all 3 characters to rank 5 like I usually do. I just had a lot of other stuff going on, didn't need anything from it, so participation was good enough for me.
Got it. Gray, did you have a chance to play some Iron Banner?
Yeah, I played a fair bit, not as much as Sharks did, but both systems. Played quite a bit with the Guardian 1 guys, spent some time playing with Heft and Legacy as well on the Xbox side. And it was good. Again, nothing that I really wanted or needed out of Iron Banner. More, I just wanted to kind of prove to myself that I could still play PvP at a competitive level at my current skill bracket that it matches me in. And I probably had like a 50 or 60% win percentage. I lost a lot of games that didn't feel very good. Rare situations where I felt like I was being cheated, but those are the ones that kind of stick in my mind the longest, that you have an interaction with another player and you feel like you have the advantage, you got the initial shots off, you made the correct movements, and you still lose that engagement. That's the thing that I'm still trying to wrap my head around, is trying to figure out, okay, what was it about that other player and that interaction that they won the engagement? Sometimes it's because of, just connections and shots not landing like you expect them to, but other times it's mainly weapon choice. There's just a lot of times that I was put in a situation where and I know they're fixing this. We'll get into it in the update, but I'm at the ideal range for my pulse to be able to have an advantage over this other player, and they're able to close the gap and still from just stupid range take me out with a one-shot shotgun. Then I'm still sitting there going like, no, the correct play here is the pulse rifle, and you shouldn't be able to survive this encounter from that range against a pulse rifle. So I'm looking forward to the changes, and this round of Iron Banner solidified in my mind that if I want to get back into playing a lot of PvP, I need some of these changes that are coming.
You know, I did notice that on the image for this specific Bungie weekly update, there is a Tress Zapper on the back of this Warlock, and that makes that it can't be a coincidence. You know,
you do know it's Trespasser, right?
I sure do, and Tress Zapper it is. I love it.
I don't really like the Trespasser. It's okay, but I really like my Jabber Hockey. So
yeah.
When I go sidearm, I have a pretty much a god roll Jabber Hockey that shoots so fast, has very little kick, and I can take down a rushing shotgunner with it pretty consistently.
You know, before it showed up, I really enjoyed the sidearms. The problem that I have is that, or what the Tress Zapper gives me. I actually don't mean to do it, Sharks, but I think it's funny.
I know. I kind of figured.
It allows me more time to thumbstick around. Like I'm not having to put so much emphasis on pulling the trigger as fast as I can. I can pull it and pull it and pull it and still make moves with the right stick like a lot easier. And so this is why it's become such an important part of my I'm throwing out 3 shots instead of blam 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 blam, and then really focusing on that. I'm more focused on reticle and
All right, I want to give some news and let's start a discussion on this.
No, wait.
Go ahead, Sharks.
I want to make one point. Everybody always kind of like gawks at the amount of Iron Banner that I play. One of the things, I love it, Gray. One of the things that I do, especially at this point in the game, and it's not just with Iron Banner, but it's with everything, is that I try to make everything fun now by doing different things. And my big thing right now for Iron Banner, and I was actually wrecking with it. In fact, I even wrecked with it when Mark Square and the gang were doing something that we'll talk about later. But I'm just using different guns. Just use different guns. Don't use the meta. Don't use what people know is awesome. Go in there with the Matador 64. Nah, go in there with some off-the-wall, crazy-ass gun and just have fun. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. And that's why I'm still enjoying this game, because I do that.
Well, that's because you're awesome, Sharks. You really lend a lot of credibility to this show by being someone who plays as much as you do, and I appreciate all you do for us. When you tell me that you got all 3 of your characters to rank 5, out loud I say, you don't even get anything for that. But on the inside, I'm thinking, yes, somebody needed to go that distance, because what if they brought packages back? People are talking about, oh, there is no packages, and then Sharks is like, the hell they didn't. I got some packages, so someone needs to go that far. Someone needs to have done that, and I appreciate it, Sharks. And I'm glad that you use different weapons too. I think that if I was able to play as much as you do, I would be able to work weapons into myself like that. I feel like because I don't play very much, that when I pick up the same setup, I feel like I'm just go right back into that groove. And, it's interesting how quickly or not quickly I get back into the groove after, a certain amount of time. Some games, sometimes I'll play just one game and I will be amazing. Like I will be impressing myself. And then other times, 3 games, 4 games, 5 games in, I don't win. And the first one is usually a negative KD, if that's the case. But then after that, if your team is trying to throw it, because they keep running into shotgunners, there's really nothing you can do. Look at Agrios. Agrios had like the most amazing KD that he's ever had in a game when he could have got that emblem, and it didn't even matter. It did not matter that Agrios was out there, Michael Jordan. The rest of the people on his team were Oscar the Grouch and not even trying.
So we were winning the whole way up to 8,500 out of 10,000.
Yeah,
that's what we fell behind.
Can I derail you guys for a tick?
Do it.
I want to ask you guys, do you think playing a game with faster gunplay, like Overwatch or Black Ops, do you get better at Destiny afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, you just talking about like just an overall faster having to aim and faster stuff?
Are you talking about time to kill?
Well, your time to kill is based off your guns. But
it's everything.
It's
okay,
more concerned with can you
speed.
Can you track your target? Can you laser your target initially faster? Like all that factors into your time to kill compared to the gun's time to kill.
If I've been playing Warframe all day, when I go into Destiny PvP, I feel like I'm running through concrete and everything's moving in slow-mo around me, and I do way better than normal.
So you have to realize something. Like, okay, for instance, my Destiny settings, I have it on 10 sensitivity, all right? And people think that that's super, super fast. But if you go and play another game, they have sensitivity of like 20, and it just spins around. And if you can get good with that super speed, and you go and use that slower speed, it's gonna be hard because you feel like you're slowing down, so you're not going to be able to flip around like you were before, but you're still going to be going faster, and your thought process is going to go through a lot quicker than what everybody else is. So I would say yes, playing a faster game and then going in and playing a slower game, oh heck yeah, you're going to be way better in most cases.
The reason why I bring it up is because if Destiny 2 does go 60 FPS, that's gonna be a lot of adjustment time for a lot of people, and your first time going in PvP is going to be so much fun or horrible depending on your experience.
Well, there's a comment that I'm gonna make based off of what you're saying here when we talk about this week at Bungie, and I'm going to leave it until we start talking about that.
Maybe we should get into that right now.
That's what I was about to do. So the next download will be Destiny Hotfix 2.5.0.2, scheduled for mid-February. Adjust all sorts of attacks and counterattacks in the Crucible. Their goals are to promote alternatives and counters to shotguns, align potency of primary weapons with surgical changes, file down a couple of issues from each class, fix some issues with a sampler platter of exotics, and supporting adjustments to special ammunition. This is not exactly detailed. There's definitely room for interpretation to a lot of these. But we were already heading down this line before. That's why I said I wanted to bring it up here. I mean, obviously, the number one on the community's plate here is promote alternatives and counters the shotgun step here. Now, their goal is not so much stated to nerf or buff shotguns, and they did kind of touch on this in a previous update, but as to promote alternatives and counters. Now, they seem to have provided us with some better fusion rifle options as of recently. They're kind of on the rise on the stealth mode here already. They have a lot of fans with the fusion rifle. And as stated here, two of our panel are quite fond of sidearms. Right now, a primary user with like the pulse rifle, you should be able to take down most shotgunners closing in on you by doing some primary damage, then flipping to your secondary and either taking them out with your shotgun from further away than they can take you out with their shotgun, or hopefully finishing them off with your primary there. So if they're not going to change shotguns, what are they going to change and how are they going to change it? What do you guys think? And in particular, the very last one, supporting adjustments to special ammunition. What do you think that might mean?
That's a great question. These are all great questions. I'm excited to see what they mean. Gray, what do you think?
So I am hoping that the adjustments to the special ammo in some way disincentivize shotgun use without disincentivizing fusions and snipers kind of wholesale. I can't imagine they're going to increase the ammo availability of special given the current situation with shotguns. It just doesn't make sense to give them more ammo, even if the intent is to make sure that snipers and fusions and everybody else can have access to ammo. So I think it's probably more likely we're going to see less special ammo. That's probably where it's going to go. Go ahead, Agrios.
Shark? Oh.
I was going to say, do you think it would have anything to do with the way they took away the ability to keep your ammo and switch weapons? I mean, do you think it applies to that at all in any way?
I don't have a big issue with that, to be honest. I kind of like knowing that there's a penalty for me to switch weapons in the middle of a match.
Well, I feel like giving people
knowing that's a consequence of that flexibility. What do you guys think about that? I've actually liked that change.
Sharks?
What? Just on that change? I mean, I don't know. I to be quite honest, I don't even remember what it was like to not have that anymore. You know, they did it because there was a lot of issues with secondary, and they thought doing that would help. It didn't. Dropping
the icebreaker and the invective generating ammo, and then them switching to the secondary of their choice was the real reason that it was taken away.
I realized that, but the problem was that even though they did that, the amount of secondary that you still got in games is still a lot. It's a lot. I mean, even the easiest way to put it is if you look at PvP now, people aren't using those ammo regen guns. Well, some people are using Icebreaker just because, ooh, it's Icebreaker. They got it that week and they want to try it out in PvP. But I mean, in reality, if you're going to use a good gun, they're not going to use that. They're going to use Matador. And Matador doesn't regen ammo unless you have the special perks that you can get. It is possible if you like, but a lot of people want different perks on their gun anyways to make Matador that super long range, high impact gun. You watch these people that have that gun running around in a map. Do they run out of ammo? Sure as hell doesn't seem like it to me. So the amount of ammo that they got rid of didn't really affect them. Not really.
But how many minutes does it take till special ammo spawns in a match?
It's like 2:45 or something, isn't it?
Okay.
So, something like that.
So over a quarter of a match, or about a quarter of a match, you know, depending on how long the match is going to last. Over a quarter of a match on average, probably. But so here's what I didn't like about them taking it away. I go into a match, and all of a sudden I'm up against 6 shotgunners or 6 snipers. If I want to adapt to that situation, I'm penalized till 2:45 into the match to adapt to my opponent's wall of shotguns.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, but look at it from a different point of view. Okay, if this was real life, it's not. I know it's a video game, but if it was real life, here's your guns. Go out there. You're not going to have 10 different guns in your backpack and rifle through your backpack and find a gun. Okay, you're going to have the gun that you went in there with. It's 10 minutes long worth of fighting. Deal with it for 10 minutes.
But I can rifle through my backpack. My backpack's a ghost, and transports matter. Like, for me.
Fair point, just like real life. What if they just completely kill the magazine capacity on shotguns? What if it's like 3 shots?
4.
That would do it.
You know,
but they're not going to. They're not going to because they have said time and time again that they are not going. That would be nerfing. That's nerfing the gun.
That would not nerfing shotguns, and they were pretty adamant they weren't going to do that this time.
They're snipers.
Well, To be fair, they never said they were nerfing snipers, and they brought them all down to 4.
Okay, so I think that part of the reason why it doesn't seem sharks like the people who are running those Matadors run out of ammo, I think it's because a Guardian who's paying attention will run both sides of the map and pick up the enemy's secondary as well.
I do that with my sniper. I know, but that's what I'm saying, is that the amount of secondary that they got rid of, yeah, it doesn't spawn every 30 seconds like it used to. I mean, that's an exaggeration. I know it wasn't every 30 seconds, but you can still get lots of ammo. I'm just saying that it's not that big of a deal. I understand that what Agrios is saying. I mean, I get frustrated. I'm sitting there using a gun, and I'm like, you know what? This is not doing it for me. Same thing that Agrios is talking about. I'm going to switch it out, and lo and behold, I switched it out right after secondary dropped. And so, like, I'm definitely not getting any secondary, so I'm just running around primaries. But, yeah, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. I don't really have an issue with that. There are other issues I have.
Moving on.
Okay, wait. So, no. Okay, I'll wait. Continue, Agrios. Continue.
Well, I mean, you guys, if you have more to say about the gunplay, I mean, I already said all the points that are in the weekly update about that. I can be over again if you want.
Here's my worry, I guess. And in some ways, maybe it shouldn't be a worry, but it really is. Okay, so nobody wanted to. Everybody always complains about nerfing guns, changing different things, changing perks. To me, that's the same thing as nerfing guns. And it does get very disheartening, and it just seems stupid all the time. Yeah, why can't they just tweak the guns to work around each other? But here's the thing: is people are having issues with shotguns. People have been having issues with shotguns for months and months and months and months. And the issue with the shotgun is that they're very, very overpowered from a very long distance, and pretty much these people are jumping through the air, spinning, shoot, that they pull their trigger and you're dead. Okay, there's no way that guy aimed at my face from the exact perfect spot and killed me. But that's how Destiny is. People don't want them to nerf that down because that's all they ever do. So what are they going to do? They're going to buff everything up. Okay, now a lot of people are saying in the community, let's buff primaries to counter the power of these shotguns. And I kind of understand what people are saying with that, but here's the problem I have with it. If you go and buff a primary, the time to kill is going to be a lot shorter. Then you're making Destiny into games like Call of Duty and Battlefield, where the time to kill is so damn fast, you're just instantly dead. You don't have a chance to turn around and fight with them. And that's what I see. That's what I am afraid that is going to actually happen with this update, since they're saying they're not going to, affect the shotguns. Yes, no shotguns.
Do you guys think that there's any chance that they will simply buff Guardian overall life pools and primaries?
Okay, now that was something that originally I thought way back when people were talking about they didn't want to nerf the shotguns. I was sitting there thinking, well, if you buff a Guardian, make them longer to kill. But is that kind of like the same thing? I don't know. I think that would be a great way of fixing the shotgun.
If you literally buffed everything but shotguns, that would be the same thing as nerfing them. But if you just buffed Guardian life pools, you're in essence nerfing all weapons a little bit at once. But then if you don't bring everything back up, you're not really nerfing shotguns. Like if you just buff primaries and Guardian life pools, you've effectively nerfed everything but those two things.
Yeah, if you left shotguns as they're at, every other weapon as they're at, and just buffed health pools, the time to kill would slow down for anyone just using just using your primary, and the shotgun user would have to stay in that melee range for much longer.
Yep.
And I think that's a much more tactical way of doing it.
Yeah, that sounds good to me too.
I agree, but I can see people having issues with that. People don't. How should I put it? People say that Destiny is a slow game as it is, and it is compared to some games. But
Time
at
to
the
kill
same
has been
time,
creeping up since launch.
it has. I would love to see a Guardian.
Or creeping down, I should say.
Yeah, I'd love to see a Guardian buff. I think that would fix a lot of things. You wouldn't get one shot by shotguns anymore, or if you did, that means that you're running no armor, basically. But I mean, shit, now the way they have it set up, you can run full armor, and if that person has the right shotgun with the right perks, they're going to kill you. It doesn't make
I mean, Bungie said before that they feel like shotguns in a certain range should be a one-shot kill. So it's really hammering down that range.
Right. Yeah.
Just like snipers can be a one-shot headshot from a distance, shotguns from the right interior range can be a one-shot kill as well. It's just about finding that happy balance.
Well, and
it's about
it should be
you having an alternative way to stopping them from getting to that, point.
Right. And it should be only heads, And I don't know, maybe the other thing that they need to do is take away aim assist. That would change a lot.
I think aim assist is too fundamentally built into all of their other stats. Like the recoil and range and aim assist stat are all actually intermingled the way they describe it. So I really feel like if you change any one of those stats on the gun, it actually alters all three of them slightly from the way the designer has, explained it.
Yep.
All right, moving on.
Well, moving on, kind of back to the beginning a little bit, and then the whole way to the end. Deej is talking about green a lot this week. He says green's a fine color, often used to signal things like good weather, operational readiness, or clearance to merge with the highway when we approve a download for Destiny here at Bungie. It's said to have been greenlit. Then he goes on to the end of the thing, saying there are greener pastures to come. Stick to your guns. We'll tell you more about them soon. Meantime, I need to pull my momentum pants out of the holiday kiosk. So is this Destiny not having anything to talk about? Is he hinting at something related to green, literally? Or is he just somebody said, "Hey, we're greenlit"? He's like, "Oh, I can talk a lot about green this week."
No, it's the whole thing is that a green light to do something in Destiny. He's been given the green light to talk about it. He's been given the green. Everybody's almost given the green light to actually implement it. That's all. It's just a play on that.
I really liked this whole section. I feel like this section right here really, it paints a very nice picture. He says the green lighting process for a deployment like this is a collaboration between studio arts and sciences, although the developers are creative. The leaders of our team come together many times throughout the life cycle of the game to identify the elements that need to be on our change list. That development work happens in parallel to all the other projects housed under our roof, so allocations of talent are essential. Timelines are validated by implementers, operations, and release management. Testers make sure updates will make the game better and not cataclysmically worse. Our development team prepares the vehicle to carry the product of that work from us to you. I feel like this paragraph is really beautiful, and it spoke to me when I read it, because this is a huge undertaking. It's very easy for us to say, why have you let this gun go on for so long? And as much as we want to believe that it's as easy as flipping a switch, like just put Crimson Days the same way it was back on in that little corner, there's a lot of things that go into all of this. And I feel like I like this little pull back of the curtain, because seriously, and where does it start? I feel like this is a chicken and the egg kind of a debate. Do we start off with concept art? Okay, well, let's figure out what this gun could do or what this enemy could be, or do we develop who this enemy is and try and describe it to like a sketch artist, oh, well, he's got some crazy eyes, and some horns. Like this really shows that this is this giant cog, like everybody's this cog in this giant machine. And I feel like this is the kind of stuff that I want more of. I want to see what's going on. I want to see, however they do it, what they're willing to show us, because after reading this, I felt really calm about the whole thing because I was not in charge of any of this, like the idea that you are this, one brick in this wall is crazy to me. This is why half of these developers look like they haven't slept in 2 weeks, 3 months, is because they haven't, and so I don't know. I really appreciated this small look, and you're probably totally right. There's probably a lot of hidden messages going on in here, but I feel like, what he's trying to say, same thing he's always saying, is we're going to tell you what we know when we can promise that. And I think that, when you look at what happened to Scalebound, I was excited about playing Scalebound, maybe not in I'm going to buy it the first week or whatever, but it's done. They're no longer developing that game. And that looked like it had a lot of work put into it. Definitely more than the Gorka Morka game I wanted on the Dreamcast. And then Sega pulled the Dreamcast and I never got my Gorka Morka. Pissed.
Did I ever tell you that...
Oh, go on.
Did I ever tell you that my most sad moment as a gamer was waiting for the Nintendo GameCube and them advertising like games coming out, and one of the games was this non-violent stealth game where all you did was steal art, and that was my jam for so long. I'm like, I can't wait for this, and then it never come out.
That's sad. That is really sad.
I feel like Ubisoft could do it because that's their shtick, but I'll never see it again. Rip Picasso.
All right,
hey,
where were we? Oh,
what
that's
I
right.
wanted to
Sure.
say was, that we've gotten so used to hearing information, like kind of steady information every single week. Now, if we take ourselves and time travel back to 2013, think about what was going on there. Deej was not talking to everybody every single week and giving leaks and information about what was going on. And even after Vanilla Destiny, there were big time gaps in between stuff. And Bungie decided, oh, well, let's have this week at Bungie. We'll just talk about stuff. And it's very difficult for the publisher to actually do that. It's different for, 5 people on a podcast that love the game can come up with all kinds of random shit, and there's actually a lot of other stuff that's going on that we could talk about, that I still want to talk about. But from the publisher's point of view, they have, this set of information that they can really talk about. And it's really hard to talk about anything else, and then in this case, other than something green.
I see what you're saying. What is it that you want to talk about, Sharks?
Toys.
You want to talk about toys?
I want to talk about toys. Okay, so this week in London was the Toy Fair, UK Toy Fair. And at the UK Toy Fair, one of the people that go out there and they go through all these different toys and whatnot, they tweeted out, and I'm going to have to find the tweet so that I credit them, because after this tweet came out, I went back and I looked at everybody that had gone to the UK Toy Fair to see if I could get any other information or any pictures or anything like that, and nobody had done it. But this company had gone up and they had talked to, Idle Hands on Blogspot. They had gone up and talked to the distributor that's going to be selling the new Destiny toys. And the toys that are actually being made by McFarlane Toys, who I showed at the beginning of the podcast, who created Spawn. Okay, comic book guru is Todd McFarlane, and in the process, he started doing the Spawn toys. And from there, he's branched out, and now he does so many different toys. He does toys for Major League Baseball, for the NFL, for the NHL, for the NBA. He does it for other comic books, and he also does it for other video games. Now, those of you that are following me on Twitter will have seen me post a picture of a Halo figure last year, and I said, why on earth doesn't Todd McFarlane make Destiny toys like this? And of course, I tagged Bungie and I tagged Todd McFarlane, and lo and behold, that's what they announced at this UK toy fair. They are going to be making all three Guardians. Now, I don't know if the actual Guardians they're making are the pictures that they showed, because they didn't actually have live pictures, but they have a Hunter in the original Iron Banner gear. They have a Titan in the Vault of Glass gear, and they have a Warlock in Taken King gear, the Raid gear. So he's doing those 12-inch figures. Normally they're 12-inch figures. Then they're doing some kind of Iron Galahorn. I don't exactly know the size or dimensions on that one. The company didn't say, because they actually were talking about a whole bunch of different toys that they're actually doing, but it's a prop replica. And they're also doing a Galar Wing and a Guardian Rider with a Guardian Rider and a 10-inch Lord Saladin.
Crazy.
And cool. They haven't said when these are going to be sent out, but I'm assuming that they're probably going to be coming maybe this summer, because that's the next toy fair is in New York City. I believe it's in February, and they start talking about all that stuff. And so we might see a whole bunch of new Destiny stuff on. And then they're saying after this, Destiny 2 figurines also, and statues. And I know that this is a big thing, like for collectors like myself, and there's a lot of us out there that want stuff like this to have on our little shelf, like the pop figures. I'm not big into pop figures. I always say, those are but they're going to be making Destiny ones, so I'm sure I'm going to pick those up too. So I don't know. I just think that's a big deal, having stuff like that, having these statues and things like that. It's just more for us to collect and enjoy. What are you guys' thoughts?
I like it. I like McFarlane. I've been following him since his time with Spider-Man, and so I was around when Image first started, and like I had all of the comic books. I had all of the Image #1 line from like the first 2 years of their 2 years of their beginnings. Sam Keith, Jim Lee. I love Jim Lee. Jim Lee is my favorite. Remy LeBeau, Gambit. He created Gambit. But my friend Preston, he had all of the original Spawn toys and all of the like medieval Spawn toys, and they're really great. They're really very detailed, very fun to play with. So I'm very much looking forward to what he does with Destiny. I mean, I don't know exactly what makes them his, because he's not like spawnifying them or anything. They're probably going to look exactly like Guardians. They're probably going to look fantastic, but I don't know. It'll be cool to see what they do with it. Agrios?
I went mute instead of unmuting. That's the big thing that he always does, is he's big into detail. And it's going to be like I say, when I looked at the Halo ones, I mean, you look at the Halo video game, and it's badass. But when you get the figurines, it's even more detail, and so they really go overboard. So I am looking forward to to seeing it. Oh, now you're muted, Agrios.
Just did the same thing Sharks did. So you said you don't know what makes it special for him or whatever, but like Shark says, he goes way into detail, and he goes more into detail. Like his figure will be more detailed than any screenshot you could take from the game. Like he will bring the figure to life. Like he will add details that's smaller than they can possibly put on the game. And there's usually he's got some sort of very light battle damage type situation going on. Like those armor is going to have actually scuff marks on them in different certain cases to bring that specific character to life.
I wonder if he chooses them. I wonder if he has anything to do with it, or if it's
well, he's an artist. I mean, I wouldn't doubt if he doesn't sculpt the originals for these figures.
I wonder if he plays Destiny.
I don't know.
He seems like probably one of those people who's too creatively busy to do stuff like that.
I could see that. I could definitely see that.
Like my friend who's a real artist, they take in very little extra media. Like they watch very little TV, play very, very little video games. They're always just pounding away, squishing something out.
Well, and the other nice thing that I find really cool about this, now obviously everybody knows I went and spent all the money on the 3A figures, which are in their own rights badass. I mean, you're talking absolute insane detail on these things, and so far only have the Titan. The other two, they haven't shipped them yet, but that's $200. $200. That's a lot of money. Even though they're really cool, it's $200. These the stuff that McFarlane does, I went and I compared all the other figures of this exact type that he's doing, and you're talking $20 a piece. So for less than one 3A figure, you can buy the whole set of everything, presumably.
But the 3A figures are made of insanely high quality materials, and like Shark said, that's the people who put out the dead-on precision to scale-ness. Whereas Spawn's figures, McFarlane's figures, might break the scale a little bit, or you know what I mean? I can see him working with that. He more creates the essence of a figure than what 3A does. He more is about bringing that figure to life and in a fairly affordable media. It's just made of plastic.
Can I ask you, have you guys ever heard of Kotobukiya statue? They're these really high detailed statues that usually you see them for comics. That there's no action figure to them. They're just solid, but they're super detailed. And there's also super anime versions of comic book characters, but they're roughly $120. And I think the quality on them is probably what people were hoping for those 3A statues, and that's pretty well. I feel like that's what they got. So you're going to see the Todd McFarlane action figures are going to be more of a they're going to feel like Todd McFarlane action figures. They feel great, but they still feel like an action figure. And I feel like the 3A action figures are more of a statue.
Right. Well, the 3A's for collectors, and you might buy your nephew a Destiny McFarlane figure to play with for Christmas. You know what I mean?
I feel like it's a completely different market. So I feel like they can coexist.
Yeah.
And should.
And it's just more publicity for the game that we love.
Gray, will you be buying these Destiny toys?
Yeah, these ones I actually might. I kind of like having little Destiny toys in my office. It's kind of cool to have Destiny type toys, but I don't really have a lot of toys. I never collected action figures. I certainly couldn't justify in my own head $200 for the the one that Shark just showed up, that Titan one. It's very cool, but I don't think that I would get enough enjoyment out of it, and there's nobody that would come and appreciate it in my own home. But for $20, for $20, I'd buy a little action figure to have at my desk.
I've always been pro buying the action figures that stand alone, so I can put them into any position, or like a setup, like, oh, we're hiding around this building. But I have just right behind me the Reach setup with all of the 5 guys from Reach, from the collector set of Halo Reach, and I look at it every day, and it's awesome, and I do remember Reach, and those characters are so awesome. Carter is the man. In Firefight, you could purchase, for a certain amount of credits that you earned from playing the game, you could purchase different voice packs, and his was like the only one that was positive. Like when your teammates did something good, he'd be like, yeah, or like he was like always way supportive of the other players, and I felt like that was just really cool. Carter is awesome. Halo Reach is awesome.
I think something like what Sharks has, that 3A figure, that's something that like people buy to put on like a display, and like a really high end, like some people have their living rooms done up in very cool like kind of pop comic motif or whatnot. Whereas the McFarlane toys are you could only possibly put on like some sort of display rack in like your gaming room or something like that. You know what I mean? They're not like that high end. Like, for some perspective on the price too, like, that's a sizable figure. It's not small. It's definitely a display piece. It's definitely noticeable, and it's definitely really high class for that type of medium. And I was manager of a furniture store for years and years and years, and I routinely sold people pictures from the wall and vases in the store that they'd pay $150 to $400 for, and it's just some stupid vase, but they liked it. And they wanted to sit on their shelf to look at. So like, put the size of that 3A figure in. I mean, that's a real display piece like that. So I think that's where that falls. Whereas McFarlane toys are a completely different animal.
I wanted to show you guys something. So I like Deadpool. So this I got from a loot crate, and it's really high quality, just super small, and it's probably about cool. $20. This was probably about $40, and it's closer to what you get from a Todd McFarlane toy. Yep. However, this is just something entirely different altogether, and it's super detailed, and it was probably $40.
Yeah. Well, okay, so on the same line, like today, IGN was they do a show. I think they do it every week, and part of the reason I wanted to tune in this week is because they were talking about Switch, and I didn't know if there was any new information I hadn't heard, but they were also talking about a statue. And it's basically like what you're showing there, Jez. And this one was a statue of the new Link from the new Zelda. And you can buy them at Best Buy for $80 or $90. And so, yeah, you're talking like super high quality, awesome, put there and look. And I mean, it was absolutely amazing looking. I took some screenshots of it and zoomed in on it, and it's just like, yeah, that kind of stuff. There's definitely different tiers that you're going to see, and you're going to pay different price scales, and you're going to pay different price scales depending on what company it is that make it. Like the 3A stuff, is really cool. But because it's them, they get away with selling it for that much more. If McFarlane Toys made a toy like this, even if they made it exactly like this, it probably wouldn't be $200 because they just don't sell stuff at that price. 3A does. They're just known for those kind of things. So, but yeah, you're definitely going to have tiers, and you're definitely going to have different qualities for sure.
Well, all right then. Toys. I will probably buy some. Maybe make some kind of diorama.
It would go good with my Legos.
For my science fair.
I could say my Mega Blocks, not Legos, Mega Blocks.
All right, we need to start wrapping this up. What else we got, Agrios?
Well, there's bunch of creativity in the community this week. On the weekly update, we had really impressive feat. They soloed every Destiny raid boss back to back without wiping once. They had the checkpoints for all the bosses, and in one single uncut video went through and beat them all.
Very cool.
So pretty impressive. Long video, impressive. Honorable mention, dance video. Someone putting together all the dance emotes creatively as a hunter. Not too bad. Really short video. Pretty well done for a short video. Last one was an honorable mention: creative use of combatants killing Valis with his own minions. It took a lot of patience, and it was pretty amusing to watch in fast motion. But they managed to keep turning the plethora of minions entering during the Valis Arc fight against him, and they killed him exclusively using his own minions. So
that's cool.
That was a fairly interesting feat. Not mentioned in the weekly update, but I'm hoping it's just because maybe they didn't make the cut for this week. It was out in the community. There's a sequel. There was a stop motion Destiny True Stories Part 1 a while ago, and Part 2 came out this week. It's on the subreddit. I highly recommend you check it out. It's pretty cool. As well as a video I rather liked this week. It was a video clip that of someone pulling off a pretty slick move on SC Slayridge, and he's a really great sport. Highly recommend anybody check out his Twitch streams. He's really a kind of honorable guy. He speaks good about his combatants and stuff like that. And he was in the middle of fighting somebody in Sharks. What was the name of the map? Do you remember what the name of that map is? Anyway, it's the one where your middle point is up on
Thief's
a
End?
big old balcony. What's that, Jez?
No, wait. I was thinking Thief's End or Thief something.
But either way, he's trying to gun down a hunter who's near a ledge, and he puts a bunch of shots into him, and the hunter appears to disappear off of the ledge, and he comes up looking. He's like, "Oh, did he fall?" And all of a sudden, the hunter pops back up doing his super right on him, and it's a really spectacular shot. I will send the link here momentarily in our chat room, but I highly recommend you check that out. It's posted on the subreddit as well. That's about all we have in news this week.
It is amazing. It's the super that got the guy to pop up. It's amazing how high he jumped up with that super being popped. It's a great video.
It's the only way you could have recovered from being that far off the ledge, in all actuality, because you can't really, have hopped up after that long off.
If I remember that area well, I don't even think there's actually anything there to jump onto. So it was the super that saved him.
Right.
That's cool. That's really cool.
I mean, he's a hunter, so he could kind of hop in the air, but I imagine he probably did use his jumps to even get to the place where the super brought him back up on, because he did recover back onto the ledge and run back into the fight at that point. He got shotgunned down by the people following SC Slayridge, but I mean, still great play. And SC Slayridge is, afterward, he's like, "Oh, my career is over." Over. So he's a really great sport about it, and that's really great. We kind of mentioned this earlier, but I think it'd be worth pointing out. Vicarious Visions is advertising 20+ new job positions to work on Destiny 2. So I mean that's a good sign, I suppose, or maybe that's a bad sign. What kind of sign is that, Remy?
I don't know. It doesn't fill me with confidence. It doesn't like when I think about, getting into work at Bungie, I feel like there's a bar. There's a very high bar. And, if you want to work on Destiny, you have to hit that high bar. And I feel like basically everything that Bungie has put out that hasn't been like a microtransaction, or a flopped event. I feel like everything that they've hit all the right notes, and it's been amazing. I feel like that bar is lowered when you're this not Bungie company. Like, Bungie is huge.
It doesn't mean they're not going to scout people from other companies. It does, and there's a lot of great companies that are shutting down every day. So there's
Totally.
a lot of experience on a lot of great titles in the wild.
Wait, what about this though? When Destiny first launched, it was not even half the size that it is now. Bungie has done these, ads for people since the iteration of Destiny. I don't think that you should say, oh, it it makes you kind of nervous and whatnot. It just means that they need more people because it's a big undertaking, and they're going to make a big ass awesome game.
Yeah, I know. I'm just filling in how I feel when I think about it. Like I know that if this company is good enough for Bungie to work with, then I shouldn't have any doubts. But it's just, can I name what Vicarious Visions has done previously? No. Does everybody in the whole entire world know what Halo is? Yes. There's a huge step here. There's a huge step. And so, I understand that the gear that we got with the Dawning was designed by people outside of Bungie, and you can really tell. The Dawning armor sets look a hell of a lot like Warframe characters. There's weird nodules and weird slopes to the armor. I'm not saying it's ugly, and I'm not saying I don't want it. I'm just saying that there's a clear difference between what Bungie has put out, everything that Bungie has put out, and this Dawning. So it's just, just my initial reaction is this doesn't fill me with confidence. I'm more than willing to give them a chance, but at the same time, who are these people? How I feel like this is a shortcut into Destiny. So I don't know. Gray, what do you think?
I think that there is a high likelihood that the quality of the product could go down. It's certainly going to be different with influence from external studios. And, I hope that the extra resources that it's allowing either allows them to get the product out sooner or allows the product to be better in some way, but I think it's gonna have to prove itself. I don't have as much of a history following Bungie to the level that you guys do. When they have worked with other studios in the past, has it been successful, or has it been? They haven't worked with other
studios.
flops?
They used to be owned by Microsoft, and they did everything.
Yeah, so with all the Halo games and everything, they never at least advertised that they were partnering with other studios.
They got whatever help they needed from inside Microsoft. They're owned by They're literally owned by Microsoft. They had to buy themselves back from Microsoft.
I understand that. That isn't necessarily they didn't have certain internal partners.
No, I totally hear what you're saying. You kind of look like Wolverine right now. You got some pretty good scruff. I just thought I'd mention that real quick.
So just so you know, Remy, Vicarious Visions did the Guitar Heroes, Transformers, they did Skylanders. Do you think we'll see some Mega Bloks toys to life in the video game? Some Lego Dimensions?
I was a fan of the Dreamcast. They had like that VMU unit where you could save games onto it and pull it out, and it had like a little pad on it, and you could play mini games on it. Like I'm interested in, I'm interested in thinking outside of the box like that.
Destiny Go.
I mean that I saw the commercial for that. It looked amazing. I don't know that list of titles you read off leads me to believe that they are going to.
They've been around since 1996.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not trying to talk shit about them or anything. I'm just saying that they're not Bungie, and they also know they're not Bungie, right? They have to know they're not Bungie. Jez, what do you think about this?
Well, I just want to say one weird thing is that their lineup is a lot similar to High Moon Studios. Like the games that they've made Transformers games, so isn't High Moon Studios. They also have an untitled Destiny sequel as TBA on their wiki, which is kind of weird because they're just helping.
Wow.
But yeah, I think it wouldn't matter if it's High Moon Studios, if it's Vicarious Visions, who's added onto the project, because it doesn't. I don't think it matters how many different names are attached. It's how many different people are in those teams, and Bungie's already a big company. So I think that the dissolution of ideas already happened. So what you're getting now is what you'll still get.
I see what you're saying.
Like, I think he's saying, these studios are working on the back end. They're fleshing out. They're just following Bungie's orders. They're like, we need you to take these models and program it into here, and there's the plan. Go do it. All right,
Well,
thanks.
it's more that adding more people to it, regardless if it's an entirely new studio or not. I don't think it's going to change the vision of Destiny 2 anyways.
The thing that surprises me about it, I like to think that we'd all be much more comfortable if this wasn't necessary, right? If Bungie didn't have to reach out to external developers to help support what they need to do to get this game done. If they could do it all internally. So then that's the question, why don't they? Why don't they do it internally?
Well, I think
why don't they hire more developers? Why don't they get more software engineers?
Why do you think it's them reaching out to others and not Activision saying, "Hey, you're not doing anything today. Why not help Bungie do things?"
I think it's because they needed to hire so many people that rather than having to hire all as fresh hires, by hiring another studio to help you're hiring already organized teams of people. You're hiring an infrastructure of these people.
Not only that. Okay, so we're talking about two other companies that we know of that have joined forces, and these companies are having to add extra people to work on it. Okay, so we'll just throw out numbers because these numbers are not real numbers, but let's say it's 300 more people that are going to be now working on Destiny. So now we have 800 people working on Destiny. Destiny 2 is done. Now Bungie doesn't have to fire 300 people because these people are part of two companies that can make their own games and probably have their own stuff that they're going to be working on. So, it's smart for them to hire outside as opposed to, hiring a whole bunch of people. And all kinds of businesses do this. For instance, back in the 80s and 90s, my dad worked for United Airlines. And United Airlines in San Francisco was the hub for fixing airplanes. They fixed all of their, they did every single thing you could think of on those planes. They also were hired out by other companies like TWA and even American Airlines, which was a huge company, but say they got backlogged, they would say, "Hey, you guys, can you help us and can you work on this stuff?" As opposed to us going and hiring a whole bunch of people to do a little bit of work that needs to be done and then suddenly not have the work to do. So I think that's what part of the other reason why they would be hiring these outside studios.
All right, moving on.
Well, that's about all I have. One final note: if you got a warlock, the speaker's selling 100% intellect discipline bond this week. Might be worth checking out and picking up if you think it's fancy.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Not Destiny related, but I wanted to throw this out there because I thought it was funny. In Final Fantasy 15, you get to hold down the left bumper and then select a special attack from one of your traveling companions. And so both times I was trying to get Prompto to do the piercer. And one time, Noctis says, after I selected Prompto, he says, "Ignis! No, wait, Prompto!" And I laughed because it was so random and out of nowhere. And then a second time, he said, "Hey, Blondie!" And Prompto was like, "I guess that's me." It was just so funny. I've never heard them before or again. It was once for each of these, and that was just hilarious. And I feel like that's something that, like, Destiny has this in those weird calls over the PA system in the tower, but it's like I feel like those weren't as highlighted. Like I hear it as background noise, and I'm not necessarily paying attention to it.
I think those call-outs in Destiny are more made by you talking to your teammates.
Yeah, absolutely.
Where if you're running around and you don't know the guy's name very well, shit, Titan guy. Go with this.
Right. Okay. Anything else anyone want to talk about Destiny? Sharks, you got something?
I have two little things I want to throw out there.
Okay.
First one is something that's just really quick that I just want to throw out to everybody that's listening. Destiny Iron Manager dim. They just did an update this week, and it is now working on mobile phones. So there are bugs, and they even said that. So it may not work 100% of the time, but they've got it going. And if you don't have a computer, or you don't want to have your computer sitting out there, pull up your mobile phone. It's awesome.
Excellent. And
the other thing I want to say was this week, Mark Square invited Grey Ghost, Nerdy Girl, R Velvet J, myself, and Onsen to come and play some games with them. And I'm always down to play with whoever wants to play. And he asked us all to come because he wanted to really mess around and have some fun. He wanted all of us to get on, and we were going to shoot the mans while he picked up the crests in Supremacy. We were not allowed to pick up the crests. And I just want to say it was an absolute blast doing it. And I'm always down to play with any Guardian 1 member, of course, and so many other people out there. But then I come to realize that it's almost like he was paying for our services because he was giving out prizes too. And I just want to tell him, I'm going to tell him on stream, just like I told him in direct message, you do not need to give out prizes to play with other Guardian 1 members. But it is awesome, especially when you win. And yes, Onsen and I won. And so I've got myself a piece of art coming. But it was really fun. And he's a great guy. So if you don't know him, go and check him out. Check him out. He does both Twitter and he does Twitch stream. And it's hilarious watching his streams. So I wanted to kind of plug him for all of us having some fun.
Awesome. Very awesome. Gray, did you have anything else you wanted to add before shoutouts?
Just shoutouts.
Jez? Agrios? All right. Then shoutouts starting with Gray.
So, segueing off what Shark said, my shoutout also goes to Mark Square. More because he had a brilliant idea for making Supremacy a game mode that it reinvented it for me. I never thought of this game mode this way. What he did was our team of 6 divided up actually into 3 teams of 2. You had a partner, and your team of 2, you could have 1 shooter and you could have 1 runner. The shooter wasn't allowed to pick up crests. The runner could pick up crests but wasn't allowed to shoot. They could still melee and super, but that was pretty much it. And then you weren't really playing against the other team. You were playing against the other teams that were actually on your team. So your team of 2 was trying to get the highest score from a crest count. I'm sure the other team thought that we were playing like a bunch of idiots because half of us were just running up trying to melee and get crests no matter what. But the interaction on the party chat was just so good because we were really competing against each other in this game mode that we're also competing against another team. I can't wait to do it again. It's probably my new favorite thing to do in PvP in Destiny. It is my new favorite thing. So that goes to Mark Square for thanks for coming up with that awesome new spin on Supremacy.
Excellent. Sharks.
Again, Mark, you're awesome. Kind of shout out to you because you do deserve it. But my actual shout out goes to my wife this week. She had the flu. And she let me play video games while she's sitting there dying. And she's an amazing woman. So shout out to her.
Awesome. Agrios.
My shout out this week goes to the people who made VR because it's awesome.
Excellent. Jez.
My shout out this week goes to Agrios because he didn't believe me when I said it was Thieves something, and it ended up being Thieves Den, that the map the Slayer was on. Suck it.
Excellent.
I didn't not believe anybody. I didn't even hear you say that. I was talking to Sharks.
I said it was Thieves End, and Thieves Den has the same letters.
I seriously, I didn't even hear you say the name of a map. You're the quietest person on my chat.
Interesting.
I'm about 2 feet away from my mic, so that's probably why.
I don't know. I can hear you just fine.
But I want to talk about VR and Destiny and games in the future.
Let's do it. My shout out goes to everyone here on the panel and everyone listening. And I know I've shouted out this shout out before, but this is slightly different. And today is my birthday. I turned 39 years old. Holy crap. You know, to anyone listening who's like in their teens or 20s, you're like looking at me and you're thinking, oh my God, that guy is so old. And when you get to 39, you will think to yourself, man, what was that guy even talking about? 39 is not old. 70 is old. Okay. I mean, there is the whole aspect of, man, I'm not 20 anymore. But my shout out is to everyone here and everyone listening, because I thought about, you know, canceling the show. You know, it's my birthday, day off. But really, you know, when I thought about it, what I really wanted to do was hang out with you guys. You know, I love the conversation. I look forward to this conversation every single week. And I love to be part of it. I love to talk about Destiny. I love to talk about video games. I just love to hang out. You know, everybody who's in the chat, who, you know, adds to the conversation, you know, and listens to us. It feels really great. It feels really great to have this connection. And so for my birthday, you know, what better thing could I do than come hang out with everybody, you know, all my friends. And so, you know, I appreciate every single one of you. And if there's anything you want to talk about, my DMs are open. You know, I have not reached that critical mass where I just have this huge flood of messages. I mean, I might not get back to you for 6 months. You know, sorry, Seer Prophet, Jelly Belly. Sorry about that. But no, I absolutely appreciate every single one of you, and I love having this conversation, and I love the debate, and it's just really a lot of fun. And yeah, I just can't think of a better way to spend my birthday than with everyone here. So with that, that wraps up episode 118. We would like to thank everyone listening for tuning in. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you have any suggestions for topics to be discussed on the show, or have any comments on something that has already been covered, please leave them in the comments below or send them to feedback@guardian1.net, and we will see you next week.
Happy birthday, Remy!
Woo!